Hey everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Obscura Undead, because it's not Obscura Undead, it is postpunk.com, featuring Obscura Undead, doing Wingtips.
Doing a review of Wingtips. We're not actually doing Wingtips.
Oh, I need to reevaluate this show. Anyway, we will be doing a review of Wingtips' debut album, Exposure Therapy, which is out tomorrow on August 23rd. But if you're here, that means you are on postpunk.com, hopefully, and you can actually stream their album one day early, which you should. It's amazing, and we're going to tell you why.
All right, so first of all, Wingtips. Who are they?
Wingtips are a Chicago duo of Vincent and Hannah. And Hannah was previously involved only in live performances, and she is now on Exposure Therapy, a full collaborative partner in the band.
Yes, and I love them both. They have performed in Florida a couple of times before, and they've been releasing albums since 2016 or 2015.
Well, they've been releasing singles since 2016, along with music videos.
So their first, I guess it was an EP that was released, was called Gray Area, and you can get it from Bandcamp. It was released in 2016, and that's where you can hear the sound that they've been known for. And I guess the best way to describe it is new wave-ish synth pop.
Like Thompson Twins and Disintegration era Cure.
A lot of people consider it to be very Cure-like, and we love that sound. It reminds us of, you know, our young, innocent days, but not in a way that's overdone. So there are a lot of bands that like to do like this retro aesthetic.
Right.
But
it's like retro clone aesthetic.
A retro clone, that's it.
And while they do have this like retro fetish, super 80s vibe on a lot of these early singles, they don't sound like that. And you can tell that there's always been something more, and on Exposure Therapy we find out what exactly that more is.
Yep, so Exposure Therapy has 10 tracks on it, and seems like it's broken up. We have like an intro track. We have 4 tracks that are infused with an EBM dancey vibe, and then we have another 4 that are more of the retro, slow-paced,
like what we've come to expect
unwind.
from them.
Yes, and a really amazing outro.
Yeah, but those first 4 tracks, though, were very unexpected. And the first single they put out for Exposure Therapy was Deaf Pursuit, which after the, 30-second intro track, the album kind of rages in with Deaf Pursuit, which is very driving, very anxious, very...
a refreshing surprise, but
very
still
surprising.
it sounded like Wingtips, because it had Vincent's voice and the way that he sings with like this like longing synth pop style.
Yeah,
that was still overlaid with the EBM elements, and I was really happy to hear that there were more tracks like that on the album.
right. Because if you've been keeping up with Wingtips and their singles, if you listen to The Eye That Follows Suit and Here and Now, the other 2 singles from the album, you might think, well, these are 3... While I hear a progression, they're 3 very different tracks, but I feel as though this album was really balanced between all of these sounds. So track 3 is Accidental Effigies.
That is a beautiful song. I cannot
song.
express that the way that the vocals are sung are wrought with emotion, and I just really feel it for this track. But at the same time, it's very dancey and heavy with synths, and I love that. I love the way that that particular track is written. And it seems like you're still on this journey from Death Pursuit towards... The whole album's a journey.
It really is, because that vibe sort of continues through After the Storm and then The Eye That Follows Suit, where we have this really synthy vibe, but then it starts breaking off into what we think of more as the Wingtip sound. Where
Classic Wingtips. I guess we can say that, right?
Classic Wingtips, where it is more... It's not quite as tense with the synths. It's not quite as... maybe like wall of sound. It starts to sort of relax a little bit.
Well, I thought right in the middle, it was almost like the climax of the album is that song Sentinel. And
yes.
Sentinel is a very unique track, and it stands out a bit It's got elements of both the first half and the last half of the album, but it's got like a slow, brooding darkness to it. Right. And this is where I started to think of like the synth wave elements, almost like Stranger Things, where it sounded like something deeper and heavier was happening. And as it slid into the end of the album, that's how you got more of the 80s vibe, and it was more of that relaxed, like, innocence that I loved.
Right, and this was unsurprising given that they wrote the album as sort of a break from toxic people and sort of expelling that from your life.
So it seems like, and I have to go deeper into the lyrics, but it seems like, yeah, that first half of the album is while all the turmoil is happening, or the separation, all that anxiety that's going on, and then after the break happens, after the cleansing of self,
it feels calmer, less chaotic, still very emotional, but there's this coming to terms and a piece, I think, both in the lyrics and in the way the last half of the album is written. So from after Sentinel, after, you know, The Eye That Fell Asleep and Sentinel, which are very much the climax of the album, it goes into Ghosted and Relativity. And Relativity, I think the album could have ended there, but because it's such a beautiful track. But then track 10 comes in, and it is 7 minutes long, almost 7.5 minutes long, and if I thought Relativity was a perfect ending, Innocent Blood track 10 is, I couldn't imagine anything else being at the end of that album.
Yeah, it did seem like a great cap to the entire album. It almost stood on its own, echoing the entire journey of the album. Also had echoey vocals, super echoey effect on the vocals, which I love the reverb. I felt like it was steeped in the 80s with the chanting, singing. That was something that we heard a lot in the 80s, where there would be like a band with like 20 other people behind them all singing. And it had a slow fade outro right around the 5-minute mark. So as it was fading out, like that's actually, the song's probably about 5 minutes long. It fades out, and then there's like a minute of silence.
There is a minute of silence, which was a beautiful choice because the intro on the album is just a wall of sound.
It was stunning. So I sat there and I was like, don't touch it, don't touch it.
I listened to the entire silence.
Let me just listen to this. And I'm just sitting there with my mouth open, and I felt like a kid again. And I don't know if I was supposed to, but I just kept thinking about like how they had all those like tapes and CDs where you had to wait for the end. You had to wait for it to run out. And I was like, man, this is true retro vibe, like fourth wall breaking, like we are doing it now. See, like we've gone back to old school.
I didn't feel that it was an old school thing. I felt that it was a very deliberate moment of silence at the end, because you'd just gone through this entire album, just gone through a lot of very powerful emotions that I think that a lot of people have probably had. You know, we've all had terrible people in our lives, and we've had to grow and move beyond that. And to have that moment of silence at the end, it was really powerful in a very sort of release kind of way after just the entirety of the album.
That was a good choice, and
like usually that annoys the shit out of me, but this was perfect. It was exactly what you need at the end of that album.
Yeah, so great album, front to back. Can't deny it. It is, it's fun to listen to. It's beautiful.
I think it's one of the best albums of the year so far.
I think so too.
Not just because I love Wingtips. It's just an absolutely glorious album.
It is a brilliantly written one. The tracks are very engaging. I am looking forward to playing some of these songs on the dance floor.
Yes. I'm looking forward to just being sad to some of these songs in the quiet of my own home.
I have to sit down with the lyrics, because I know that the lyrics build another dimension with the tracks. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So Wingtips is on tour. They have just started.
I thought they were, oh yeah, they did just start.
Started.
Yeah, they have just started.
So we wish them luck playing these new tracks in front of a live audience. There are many shows across the U.S.
Including Tampa Absolution Fest,
which will be happening in October 4th and 5th, and they will be with us on Saturday, October 5th. And I will be DJing that show. I'm so excited. And look them up. You can find them on Bandcamp. They are released through Artoffact Records, where you can probably pick up physicals. I haven't checked yet because it's not released until tomorrow. And I recommend you go to YouTube and check out their music videos.
Their music videos are always very excellent.
Yeah,
and
so
Deaf Pursuits off this album is no exception. It was filmed in a mall that was going to be shut down near Vincent's hometown.
Yeah, I think he said that it was like the day before it shut down.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this information actually comes from the interview that we did with them, which you can find on postpunk.com. We'll have the link in the description below. We did an interview with them, and they went into a little bit about how this album has been composed and their journey through writing it. Plus, there's a really cute story about a crocodile or an alligator. I always get them confused. I'm not from Florida.
I think it was an alligator, right?
I don't... Probably.
There's more alligators here.
So... Go check out the interview, go check out the album, pick it up. You won't be disappointed, we promise.
And thank you, Vincent and Hannah, for allowing us the interview. And thank you, Artoffact Records, for allowing us to have the exclusive stream on postpunk.com.
Yeah. So, thanks, and I guess we'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.